morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us on the webinar today. We're aiming for this session to last around half an hour, 45 minutes. That will obviously depend on the number of questions we get in as we go throughout the session. Please do feel free to obviously pop any questions you do have in the Q&A chat box, and we'll pick them up as we go through and answer them. This session is obviously covering what's coming up in the April Wave release, focusing on the Power Platform today. So just to introduce myself, I'm Gemma Jordan and I'm an account manager here at Enhance. I joined back at the end of July, so I've been here just over 6 months now. I'm joined by Tom Smith and James Glover, who will be doing a majority of technical on this webinar. So Tom, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, hi there, I'm Tom Smith. I'm a Dynamics 365 consultant here at Enhance. I joined back in June last year. So I'll be taking you through this webinar today, focusing around Power Platform.
James, do you mind introducing yourself as well, please?
Hi, I'm James Glover, so I'm Chief Technology Officer and kind of look after all aspects of Dataverse and the Power Platform within Enhance today.
So just to emphasise again, you are all muted, so we can't hear anything you're saying, so please don't kind of try and speak out and answer the questions. But as I mentioned, just pop them in the chat box and we'll pick them up. Over to you, Tom.
No problem. So the first section we're going to run through this morning is around the Dataverse platform. So I've picked out a couple of features that will be released as part of the April wave. The first one of them is being able to block or manage customizations in an environment. So a lot of the features we're going to talk about today, we've got screenshots, and there'll be more of like a discussion due to the timing of the release. Not all of these features are demonstratable at the minute, so it'll just be more talking about what the features are and what they have to offer. So from my perspective with this one, it's a really useful feature for administrators and companies that are looking to implement the kind of correct ALM process. So being able to restrict any kind of admins from creating an unmanaged or I suppose unapproved change in environment helps to make sure that when we're running a dev UAT production environment strategy, that no changes that haven't been developed first are then put into UAT or a production environment. This feature is or will be made available from this month, I believe. So it's something that we can start to test now. It's something as well from the Power Platform Admin Center that it's just a toggle. We enable this, and that environment is then applicable with the block. The next feature I wanted to talk about, and again, unfortunately we can't really demo this one, but it'll be a really useful one around security of an environment. So the screenshot we got on the slide at the minute is around PIM, or Privileged Identity Management. And previously we were able to use this feature to request just-in-time access to administrator roles within Azure AD. So rather than assigning a user to a Power Platform admin role, or Power BI or Dynamics 365 admin, and them having that admin role indefinitely, the idea of PIM is that we request the admin role for a certain amount of time, and we can either enable pre-approval, so that role is approved automatically, or enable an approval process. So there are dedicated users within the environment that can approve those roles. Like I said, that was a feature that we've had within the platform for a little while. As part of the next wave, that's been extended into environment access. So the idea here being that each environment within a Dataverse ecosystem can have a system administrator, and the idea here is that system admins can then, general users can then request sysadmin to a specific environment, and again that admin would then expire after a certain period of time. So giving us a little bit more flexibility with who has access to which environment, and not and ensuring that the access isn't permanent. They only request it when they need it. This one is a public preview from, again, end of this month and looking to go GA in March. From my understanding, the documentation as well, it's not clear if we'll get a similar portal to what we've got on the screen at the minute. There's a mention of there's essentially a PowerShell script that needs to be set up, and you can run that to remove or revoke the access. But like I say, it's a little bit unclear at the minute, but still sounds really useful for securing and locking down your environment.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any questions on this, Tom. So if we go on to the next one until we get some more that are less admin focused, and we'll probably have a bit more of a Q&A as we go.
Cool, no, that's all good. So the next, like I said, that was just the overall Dataverse platform. So the next area of discussion is around Power Apps. So looking at a new feature for model-driven apps and also around Canvas apps as well. So one of the what appears to be a really useful looking feature from the Make portal or for model-driven apps is using Copilot for table generation. So previously we've had Copilot to help us using natural language explain a table and fields that we would need within a single table, but that was limited to the creation of just one table. The idea now within the Copilot assistant is that we can describe a little bit more of a complex table structure. So where we've got various different tables talking to one another, and Copilot will then help us generate both those tables and also pop out with a nice little ERD, so a entity relationship diagram, to show how those tables connect to one another, and really simplifying the creation process from the Make portal. This also will go public preview from April, so a little bit more longer to wait for this one compared to some of the other features. But we can see with this one that for I suppose a less experienced creator, someone that's a little bit newer to the platform, it gives you a little bit more assistance when you've got more challenging table structures, and also kind of speeding up that process as well.
Yeah, and as Tom said, this is a great L&D approach almost. So even if it's in a separate environment, just like we've done with the Copilot for Flow, we can ask it how to build a flow if you're not quite confident. This is kind of giving that additional layer of confidence to do stuff internally yourselves rather than kind of leaning on us. So this sort of ability means you can ask Copilot how to build a table, how to build a structure, and it's going to kind of inform your decisions going forward. You might not use it once you're kind of up to speed, but that initial learning exercise is going to be a really powerful tool in terms of upskilling yourself and your own internal skills. So obviously some people might use it forever, but like with the Copilot for Flow now, I'll use it when something's a bit quirky, and we'll probably do the same as this. When something's a bit quirky, you're not quite sure how to design it, that additional help rather than asking a colleague is going to be really powerful.
So moving on to the next feature. Is around Canvas apps, and this is more of some offline capabilities that you can enable by default from the Canvas app suite. So for scenarios where both low-code developers and more pro-code mobile app developers, we can enable this feature, like I say, by default within the suite, and this then helps for any users that are accessing any of the inbuilt mobile apps when they're in areas of little to no network connectivity. So previously, to kind of get these features to work, we'd have to build in some power effects in the background to essentially load and save the data, whereas this switch here enables an offline sync and then a resync when that device has connected back to the internet. This one is kind of like a two-in-one, so there's a couple of features that were discussed around the offline capabilities of Canvas apps. So the screenshot on the screen in the minute has got that toggle that we can enable. There's also some new features around what columns can be downloaded to a mobile app. So previously, by default, it would be the whole app and all of the data within that app is downloaded. However, we can, as part of a release within June, so a little bit longer to wait, there is the ability to restrict certain columns to download onto the mobile app. This can kind of help with the speed of the app when you're in those remote situations. So we only want to restrict the data that is absolutely necessary to the users.
Yeah, and again, just some use cases of this, Tom, as we're kind of talking through it. We've seen a lot of use cases of this, especially around people doing home visits or event management, where they want like a nice kind of iPad or phone app to kind of sit down with an end user in kind of our more of our non-profit vertical, and in our more of our commercial vertical. We're seeing this a lot around kind of warehouse management, stock management, or even just repairs. If they're walking around a large kind of building or estate where there's logging kind of faults with buildings or stuff like that, this kind of offline capability really helps. It eliminates the need of dropping back to pen and paper, then trying to remember what you said an hour ago and updating a system. So it gives us a lot more design options and kind of simplifies the process.
Was there any questions in the chat for those two features?
Not at the moment, Tom. So
cool. No, that's fine. I'll move on to the next section. So the next section I wanted to kind of talk around what was Power Automate. So two features I'm going to talk through here around cloud flows, and are kind of like useful for, again, beginner to slightly more senior in terms of the first feature, which is again more around Copilot and how that's integrated within Power Automate. So over the last couple of months, the designer experience within Power Automate has been changed and improved, and Copilot has been embedded into that as well. So as James mentioned, we can use Copilot to help us start to build out Power Automate flows with natural language. Something that, again, within the next couple of months to kind of help not only with the building experience, but also when we're then troubleshooting any errors with workflows that have been created, is Copilot generated error messages. So within the screenshot, highlighted on the right hand side is Copilot generating a natural language error message to help troubleshoot what is going on with this flow instance. Previously, the kind of errors that we get from within Power Automate aren't always the most applicable. You know, it's requires sometimes a little bit more of a technical knowledge, and sometimes it's not always that clear what the error is. So this is a nice little enhancement to help, like I say, the more citizen developer help run through any issues within that flow runtime, and obviously help fix that over time. This feature as well is enabled only in preview for the UK, US, and Australia for the time being. So there is a limitation on what region this is applicable for.
Yeah, and again, it's another aspect where we're just getting really improved learning and development within the standard product. So that's the kind of real benefit of these. It's not I can be lazy when I'm developing code. It's this is educating you as you're kind of developing stuff for your own internal use. So that's where we see this, is it's helping you learn and educate yourself more. There shouldn't be a use case where we get an error every time we create a flow. This should be educating us as we go. So in theory, we're not seeing it in the future, and it's just there to help us.
Like a lot of the use case of Copilot, it is enhancing that user experience, and helping us along the way.
Yeah.
onto the next area, which is just again a bit more of like an admin role within Power Automate, and that's storing the execution context or the data from each Power Automate flow. So previously we would have logs of Power Automate stored within the portal for 30 days, and after 30 days we then lose track of those runs. Essentially what we're enabling, or what's been enabled here, is an inbuilt table within the Dataverse called Flow Run, where all flow run times are recorded to this. We can then see any failures, any succeeded, the types of triggers, and this also then allows us to build out custom reports for monitoring. So we can better monitor for future alerts and see where the kind of common errors are occurring within some of our Power Automate flows, and also as well getting the return on investment. So understanding flow estimated runtime, how long they're taking, and improving that sort of admin side to the platform that we're building out. Previously as well within Power Automate, we could connect this to something like Application Insights. So rather than using Azure to store this data, we can store it natively within Dataverse. And similarly as well, we've had user case scenarios where custom tables need to be built, and then some custom logic to store the flow runtime into that custom table, whereas this is all native now and can be used out of the box.
Yeah, and again, this is just simplifying the build process of Power Automate, and really useful to us, especially around some of the mission critical flow integrations that we're now seeing within kind of commonplace within our clients. If we're doing a real-time integration to an ERP system to raise a purchase order or a vendor invoice, we need to know if there's been an issue during that process. So having these sort of tables mean we can create one error reporting loop for everything. So we can literally have a Teams message escalation when an integration's failed or something's happened, rather than building a reporting engine per flow. We can standardize that process. So really useful around the mission critical kind of more flow stuff, where we would have lent on logic apps and gone a little bit geeky before. Now we're kind of eliminating the need for the logic apps, and we can stay within the land of flow and do a nice level of real-time escalation.
Was there any questions around any of those?
No, I think no,
still no questions.
Oh, no, that's all fine. I thought I'd do a check-in. The next section I wanted to talk around was some new enhancements to Power BI. Now, at the time of writing this report, I pulled these out of the release wave, but there was another feature that's kind of been announced this morning that I'll talk a little bit through and try and show actually where that feature is. Again, using Copilot, but from a Power BI perspective. The first feature though is talking through the Power Query experience within the Power BI desktop. So for any users that essentially use Power Query online, we kind of commonly use them within data flows and that kind of thing. But essentially within that online experience, we have this enhanced Power Query where as we're building out our queries for the tables, there's a diagram view, as you can see in the screenshot, or the top screenshot, which shows how those tables connect and the kind of process of data going through the query. So this experience will now be available natively within Power BI desktop. So when we're starting to build out those reports, we get that graphical interface to view how the data connects and how also the query steps, how they're taking us through to each stage. So for again a more citizen developer or low user of the system, this graphical interface can be really useful to see how that data connects. As well as that, there's a couple of other features around, again, more improving how the data is viewed to the end user. So just at the bottom, there's another screenshot around the schema view. So this is when we're inside our queries and we're selecting various different columns. It just enhances that experience where not all of the data is loaded. We can see which columns are available within that query, and we can then do some transformation. We can reorder things like that in a more simplified, simple UI. And then also we have a query plan as well. Again, it's a common use that you'd have within data flows where we want to see the full query and where that's got any bottlenecks or understanding the steps in a bit more granular detail. That query plan can pop out a little bit more of a pro code view to what the query is doing.
Yeah, and the key benefit of what Tom's showing you here is they're just trying to unify it. So if anybody's been using Power Query, they would have noticed by now that the user experience changes depending where you're accessing it from. Because we actually had Power Query 1.0 and Power Query 2.0, and depending how you came in, you had different views. So Microsoft are trying really hard that no matter where you access technology like this, whether it's in Fabric, Power BI, data flows, it's going to look the same going forward, just because it got a little bit annoying depending what screen you opened. It was always kind of, oh, it's this style, oh, it's that style. And that's all they're trying to do here, is make sure that we're getting commonality across every bit of Microsoft stack they have.
And as well, the online experience as well as there's some improvements around being able to within the Power BI online service, being able to view these queries, so you can actually create a data set or start to look at how a data model looks from within the service. So you don't have to have the desktop app either. You can start to look at how the data pieces together without loading it onto your desktop. Cool. So another feature that kind of integrates between both Power Automate and Power BI. So the Power BI connector has been around for a little while within Power Automate. So the ability to create a Power Automate button within a report. The idea with the new enhancement to this feature is that when we're creating this button within a Power BI dashboard, we can get it to trigger data contextual Power Automate flows. So passing through filtered data and then selecting the data columns from that Power BI report within the Power Automate flow. So what we can essentially do here is create more interactive and automated Power BI reports that go and then create items in a SharePoint list as we've got on the screen, or add data into Dataverse and things like that. So rather than a report being user goes in just to see what the data looks like, we can then start to build in a little bit more of a process automation into that report and start to do action to perform actions from that report. That's another thing as well with this feature is as part of the GA release, the Power BI Connect previously was enabled just for a default environment within Dataverse, whereas now as part of this release they're looking to enhance this and make this available to other environments, so you can use the current environment scenario of again sending data into the various different UAT, dev, production environments, rather than the default environment created when you set up a Dataverse instance.
Yeah, no, nothing so far, Tom. So we go on to the next one.
Oh, it was actually the one thing I did want to mention and to touch upon just at the start around Power BI was there is another feature as part of Copilot. Again, more Copilot, as you can imagine, but the idea is within Power BI measures, you can use Copilot to help create measures and report, and also generate a description for that measure. So again, if you're new to creating calculated columns, calculated measures within a Power BI report, you can use Copilot to assist you along that way. If you are looking at a report that's been created by someone else and you need to understand what that measure is is trying to achieve. You can again use Copilot to generate a description and generate kind of like a help message to understand what that measure is doing within the report.
So we've just had a question come in now. Is this going to be live in the April release, or will it just be a preview? All this stuff around Power BI.
So, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the Power Query experience that goes into public preview from March 24, and the contextual experience within Power Automate Power BI is from April 24. What I will do towards the end of these slides as well is show you the release planner. I have put the link in the one of the slides, which is a really useful portal just to go through to look through all of the upcoming features and the features that have been released, and it gives you an idea of when it's going to go into public preview, when they estimate GA, who needs to enable it as well. Is it automatic, or does an admin need to enable that? And the portal is always updated by Microsoft as well, so you get little notifications on there to say if it's new, if it's updated. It's a really good portal, and like I said, I'll give a little demo of that just before we finish these slides.
Thanks, Tom.
Cool. The next section is around a couple of new features within Power Pages. So the first one is again kind of unifying the experience across the platform. So we've had virtual tables within model-driven apps, Canvas apps, and use that as part of Power Automate to integrate with external systems. However, within Power Pages, we're restricted to data being stored within just Dataverse, and having that Power Pages website connect specifically to that Dataverse instance. As part of this, the next release, this feature goes into public preview from March and then GA in April. It's enabling the use of virtual tables for Power Pages sites. From the initial documentation, it mentions that the only connections we have from this to begin with will be SharePoint and SQL. So quite limited at the release, but I would imagine over time that this will increase to various other external sources. But essentially what this allows us to do is connect data from those external systems without having to build complex integrations, and we can have that data replicated within Dataverse and then accessible from the Power Page site.
Yeah, and just to clarify, we also get Business Central as an external data source of the virtual table. It's just accessed slightly differently. So it's a bit of a nuance at the moment where virtual tables for SharePoint SQL are via one UI, Business Central is via another, but what we're going to see is that blended into one over the next 6 months. So being able to consume data from other Microsoft ecosystems, all of the virtual table is where we're heading across the board. And the nice thing we're seeing in here now is virtual tables are starting to understand the concept of interrelationships. So what I mean by that is SharePoint SQL and Business Central, we can relate them to other tables in the Dataverse. So you could be looking at an account form and see orders within CRM, or sorry, orders within Business Central, or orders out of a SQL database. So we can make sure that form and that UI is a blend of multiple systems.
Perfect. And then on to the next feature, which is again a real handy feature. Again, some of the earlier features I mentioned around security, we're getting some security enhancements for Power Pages. So the next wave will have integration with Azure Web Application Firewall. So there'll be a toggle that we can enable on our sites, and essentially this adds a level of security natively from the Azure stack. So it'll offer us some enhanced protection from various different kind of cyber threats, and just give that a little bit of extra layer of protection on top of the Power Page sites. As a caveat to this, though, there is some other features that have to be enabled by default. So content delivery network, I think you might be able to see it on the screenshot, is another feature that has to be enabled to enable the web application firewall integration to work as well.
Yeah, we're seeing that more on probably the bad actors territories. So even if we're not really using web application firewalls for anything advanced, we're seeing a use case, especially within our client base, where we just want to geo-block certain countries. So just that blanket block of certain bad actor countries, by enabling this feature, means we can do that a lot easier, just to kind of protect that. And we also see another scenario where the company is only UK or European focused, so they want to block the ability of people outside of that geo region even using the facilities or trying to create an account. We can use it to eliminate noise effectively of where those users are coming from.
And just on top of that as well, there is some documentation online that explain a little bit more detail the rule sets in kind of like the under the hood kind of experience of what your site is being protected from. So there is more information around all that, how all that pieces together. This is something that will become generally available to all from April. So only a couple of months to wait for this one. Was there any questions around any of those? I think the next slide is
I think we're
questions.
I think we're going to go on to the next slide, Tom. I don't think we've got any questions in the chat at the moment. I think we've covered them as we've kind of gone through.
Cool. So the one thing I was kind of want to go through in a little bit more detail, so I'll just switch over. Trying to find the right. There we go. Is as I mentioned, that release plan portal. So you can get this from releaseplans.microsoft.com. And essentially this is Microsoft's interactive portal for all of the features that are to be released as part of this wave. You've got your categories on the left-hand side for the various different subject areas, both for the Power Platform and for Dynamics 365. Each section then has a planned coming soon and try now. So the planned are the features that are being released as part of this release wave. You can select through each item and see a little bit more detail of what this feature has to offer. There's a learn more that will pop you out to the release article for that feature. And on the right hand side as well, we then have if this has any early access and when that will be available, when the feature will be public preview, and then also that general availability as well. And it'll also tell us what release wave this feature is included in, and then who needs to enable this. Is this enabled automatically for us, or will we need sysadmin to turn on the feature? We also then as well have, like I say, this portal is updated regularly by Microsoft as they're making changes to some of these features, and as people are testing them and bug fixes come out, they will update the details of each article and also the date in which these features will be available. As with every release wave, not all these features will potentially be released, so they are subject to change based on different kind of feedback. If there are bugs raised against certain features, then they can be pushed back into later waves. Likewise, if the feature isn't of the feedback isn't too great, or Microsoft decide to pull that feature completely, that can also happen as well. But like I say, this portal is a really great portal to go and get a little bit more granular information about each feature that's available as part of the release wave. Cool.
Thanks for that. Well,
no problem.
That was really useful. So just to finish off, guys, I just wanted to show you the slides, obviously, for our upcoming webinars. So what we'll show here is you can see. Oh, sorry, Tom, I think you've gone past the slide.
That's right. There you go.
Thank you. So you can just see a list of our upcoming webinars here, obviously with the dates against them, where they are. Some of these are in person and some are obviously remote sessions like today's. So it'd be great to see as many of you as possible attending these events. Obviously, the ones that are local to you and you can. Obviously, at the bottom, there is a website there, enhance.com/events. I'll pop a link in the Q&A section as well, just so you have that. But please do take a look. It will list all of our upcoming events and obviously register to as many as you can. A copy of this slide deck will be sent out as well to everyone that registered in this event. So you'll have that, and obviously a copy of the recording as well. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you all. And like I said, I'll put the URL to that release plan in here as well for the slides to be shared.
It's worth mentioning as well, if you do want any details on anything you heard today or any further information, obviously do contact your account managers, and obviously they'll be able to get that across to you or arrange any calls or anything else that will be beneficial to you.